Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at Kleavor VSTAR, which is a VSTAR that will be releasing for us in Astral Radiance. And yeah, it's a new VSTAR that we actually saw in an English box. It's going to be coming out, at least the regular version. I don't know about the Ramp Roll, but the regular version will probably be coming out, or no, will be coming out in a collection box that you can get. So it'll probably be easy to get your hands on some Kleavor Vs and Kleavor VSTARs. But the text was covered, so we didn't know exactly what it did. But now that Astral Radiance or Space Time Gazer Space Juggler were fully revealed in Japan, we now know what it does, and we can look at a deck on it. And I actually think that Kleavor VSTAR is like really underrated. I think it is like deceivingly really powerful. There are definitely some tools that it has that'll make it really good. So just get it right into the Kleavor VSTAR here. In this specific deck, we're playing 3 copies of it. And its attacks for 1 fighting and 1 colorless. Axe Break, it does 120 damage, which is a little bit low. We definitely would like that to be higher. But it also does 60 damage to when your opponent's benched Pokemon V. So it's kind of like Dragon Ball VMAX. It's a little bit like Jolteon, where you can spread the damage and then clean stuff up afterward. It's definitely not as good as Jolteon. Maybe potentially a little bit better than Dragon Ball, simply because the typing will hit weakness on Arceus. We also do have a V-Star power here, Rampaging Star, for a single fighting energy. Keep in mind that it's a single energy, 30 damage for each Pokemon in your discard pile. Now, that really, I think, brings this entire deck together, this entire list in a specific way that we're going to be playing Kleavor VSTAR. But it's just really nice to have that really nice 1-hit KO option next to the 2 consistent 2-hit KOs that you will be getting from the first attack of Kleavor VSTAR. Now, of course, the Kleavor V actually isn't too bad. I don't think this guy is half bad, honestly. I will probably be overrating it, but first, impression, I don't think he's too bad. He has 2 attacks. The first one, 1 fighting energy for 40. Now, if you put a choice belt on there, you're hitting 70 onto a V, and then weakness on Arceus. That's actually 140 damage if you have a choice belt on there. So you're 2-shotting Arceus for 1 energy. So if you can potentially build in a way into this deck. I forgot to mention that this is post-rotation. I should have mentioned that earlier, but this is post-rotation, so we don't have access to Quick Ball, Marnie, any of that stuff. If you find a way to buff this guy's damage, or buff this guy's HP, Big Charm is rotated, so we actually can't use that. We do have another card in here that will pseudo buff our HP. You can just 2-shot on Arceus for 1 energy, which is really good and a really good point of this Kleavor V. I think something that actually will make this line specifically very good is that for 1 energy, you can 2-shot an Arceus V, or V-Star, which is really powerful, since Arceus V-Star is looking to be one of the best cards in the game once rotation hits. But we do have a second attack here, Axe Slash, fighting colorless, 150 damage, and you discard energy from this Pokemon as well as the your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's kind of like Centiskorch V's attack. I think it's called Radiating Heat. That does 20 damage, but it's 1 energy. This is 3. It does 150. It does 1-shot Arceus V-Star if it has weakness. So that's not a bad attack either. Just, you can 2-shot a lot of stuff with 150 damage. You can also discard some energies while you're at it. Not too bad. The only bad thing I think about the second attack is that it does cost quite a hefty cost for this deck that doesn't play any energy acceleration for the Kleavor. Now, in terms of the engine, Shady Dealings does rotate. We don't have access to Shady Dealings Drizzile or the Inteleon. We still have Quick Shooting Inteleon. We still have Keep Calling Sobble, but we don't have Drizzile, which makes that entire line pretty much bad, I think. So instead, we're running up the Barrel engine. That does let you draw until you have 5 cards in your hand for each of a barrel that you have in play. Oh no, I should restate that. That probably sounds confusing. For each Industrious Scissors draw onto you 5. It's like a Genesect draw onto you 5, except it can go at any deck into stage 1 essentially. It's like the exact same ability as Octillery with Abyssal Hand. So we're running 4 Barrel and 4 Bidoof, and this might seem weird because why do you need to have this many barrels out? You only need like 1 or 2. And the reason that we are running so many is because we can get them in our discard pile with our Kleavor VSTAR. So we can use our extra barrels and Bidoofs to power our Rampaging Star attack on Kleavor VSTAR. Once again, another like high point of this deck. Now the other attack we are running is going to be Galarian Moltres. This is the baby one that has seen a lot of play recently with a whole bunch of different cards. So yeah, this baby Moltres, the Malevolent Charge ability. When you bench it, you can attach 2 Dark Energies from your hand to it. And then Fiery Wrath for Dark colorless, 20 damage plus 50 more for each 5-star opponent's taken. It's just really, really good with VSTARs, setting up a checkmate against Mew. So basically, you can kind of see the idea of this Kleavor VSTAR deck coming together. We have weakness on 2 of the biggest Pokemon, Post Radiation, Mew VMAX, and Arceus VSTAR. And that's kind of like the idea of our deck, is that we're going to hit for weakness on some of the biggest decks, as well as just have pretty consistent deck as well. You know, our attacks costing 2 energy, us having a 4/4 barrel line will be nice. And then also, of course, 1 copy of Lumineon V, because this will be like Crobat, and that a lot of decks will probably be playing the Lumineon V, I'd imagine. So yeah, we have the 1 copy of Lumineon V is there as well. For our supporters, we're running 4 Professor's Research because it does not rotate, because it does have a printing in Brilliant Stars. Same thing with Boss, 3 copies of Boss's Orders, because Boss does have a printing in Brilliant Stars as well. 2 copies of Judge, because Marnie does rotate, but Judge is still going to be nice for some disruption. Plus, judging ourselves down to 4, if we find like a couple playable cards like a Ultra Ball, judging ourselves down to 4 and then filling back up with a barrel, it can be nice as well if our hand is not that great. So Judge and Barrel do combo kind of nicely together. You do draw the right cards off Judge. But if you have a Barrel in play and you play Judge, it's like guaranteeing like a Marnie, almost exactly the same as a Marnie. Except that you shuffle in instead of put the hands on the bottom. So yeah, Judge plus a barrel kind of turns Judge into a Marnie. But you know, Judge just still the best hand disruption option we're going to have. The next card we have is a card that is not released yet. That's going to be coming out on Astral Radiance, and that's Roxanne. 2 copies of Roxanne. You can play it only if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards left. Both players shuffle their hand to their deck. You draw 6, and your opponent draws 2. So what this is a comeback card. You can play, if your opponent's taking a knockout on 2 Kleavor VSTAR, you can play Roxanne. They only get 2 cards to work with, which could potentially be irrelevant if the barrel does see large amounts of play in terms of just a general engine in a lot of decks. But other than that, I think Roxanne is going to be super powerful. It combos like really well with a Moltres, because if you Roxanne them to 2 and then knock them out with a single prizer that's hitting for like 220, maybe even 270 damage, that is going to be really, really good. They're going to have to deal with this single prizer. So Roxanne is just good in VSTAR decks in general, I think, as well. And then we have a couple of one-of supporters. 1 copy of Clara, because getting our baby Moltres back in a couple energy is going to be useful if we do want to pull off that baby Moltres play consistently, as well as getting back Kleavor VSTAR. Also can be nice. I just found 1 copy of Clara in VSTAR decks. Honestly, I really, really like it, specifically Arceus. Even without the baby Moltres and the Arceus currently, I do like Clara just to get back the Arceus VSTAR and the energy, so you can just keep on going with your Arceuses. But I think generally in VSTAR decks, Clara will be really, really useful, because you can just get back your VSTAR and your energy and go again with another VSTAR. We also have 1 copy of Raihan, of course, since Raihan with Lumineon is just really, really good to accelerate some energy. I said there's no acceleration for Kleavor. This is our only acceleration for Kleavor. It's going to be our Raihan. So yeah, that's item cards for Ultra Ball. It is like the only like consistent search out in format, unfortunately. Still do have Battle VIP Pass. We still have Great Ball, which are playing in this deck. But none of those are really great. We lose Quick Ball, we lose Evo Winston, which feels really bad, because that is like the main engine for this deck, right? For decks currently is like Shady Dealings, Quick Ball, and Evo Winston on Level Ball. We also have Level Ball, but that's not going to be getting too much frustration. Maybe Bidoof. There's no use playing Level Ball in this deck because Bidoof is our only single price Pokemon. So if you or Pokemon 9 HP or less. So if you really want to play a fifth Bidoof, you can, I guess. But I just rather play something else over that. 4 copies of Great Ball. Now this card does not have a printing in English with a different regulation mark, but in Japan it does have a printing regulation with the regulation mark of F. So we will probably be getting it like maybe in the trainer's toolkits. Who really knows when we'll get it, but I'd imagine that we will get it because I don't think Pokemon would make our format and Japan's format so drastically different. So Great Ball will be getting a reprint in terms of regulation marks, so we are going to be able to play that in this deck. But Great Ball might seem kind of bad, but 2 things. We need more Pokemon search. And even if we don't get the Pokemon we really want out of Great Ball, we can get just an extra Bidoof or something and research it away and power up our Rampaging Star as well. 3 copies of Switch. Once again, like Great Ball, it does get a regulation mark reprint, which means we can't play it in our decks. Unfortunately, Air Balloon, it does rotate. I don't believe that is getting a regulation mark reprint. So we are stuck with Switch in terms of switch outs. No more Bird Keeper either, which kind of feels bad. But yeah, 3 copies of Switch, 2 copies of Choice Belt to buff our Axe Break attack. Of course, go up to 150, which will 2-shot all of these stars. And if you get like, I don't know, the low end of VMAXs, you'll just barely be missing Mew, which kind of stinks. But Choice Belt is here as well. Buffer damage. Energy Retrieval, which once again, getting a reprint with a new regulation mark that will update it and keep it in standard format. 1 copy of Tool Jammer. And this is the thing that can pseudo buff your Kleavor V's HP. Because Arceus with a double turbo energy does need a Choice Belt in order to hit 210, which is the amount of HP the Kleavor V has. Choice Belt is going to be getting them there because they're knocking out your Kleavor with a double turbo. And Tool Jammer can turn off that Choice Belt. But, it's like, it's going to be kind of difficult because you also have to attach the Choice Belt to the Kleavor. So if you really want this Kleavor V to survive, you're going to have to attach the Tool Jammer instead. So things can get a little bit of a sticky situation. But nonetheless, I think Tool Jammer still is good for helping your Pokemon survive. Pokemon that deal with Tool Jammer attached. In terms of stadiums, we're running 2 copies of Jubilife Village, which will be coming out in Astral Radiance. And it is a lot like Tropical Beach. So it's once during each player's turn, that player may shuffle their hand into their deck, draw 5, and then their turn ends. So this is just a nice way to have some early game consistency. If you get this in your hand turn 1, you have a bad hand, great. You can just Jubilife Village, get a new hand, hopefully you find some gas in there. But other than that, there's no great stadium to play. You can play Path, which isn't horrible, but it will turn off the Luminion, which could potentially be backbreaking. Really, if your hand is bad, or if you only have an Ultra Ball and no other supporters. So I do like Jubilife Village as our stadiums in here. And then energy is going to be 3 fighting energy, 6 fighting energy, and of course a 7 fighting energy. So we got 7 fighting energy in here, because this is going to be what our Kleavor needs to attack. But of course we also have our Moltres, so we're going to need some dark energy. So that's going to be 5 dark energy to round up the list to attack with our Moltres. And energy might seem a little bit high. It is 12 energy. But we really, really need to get attachment turn 1 onto Kleavor. We can't afford a couple knockouts maybe on Bidoof because it will power up our Moltres and power up our Rampaging Star, but we prefer to get attacking as soon as we can. So we got the 12 energy here. You can get them back with Energy Retrieval and Clara, so you won't be hurting for energy. I don't think getting the double dark in your hand for Moltres can be kind of difficult. That's why we have Energy Retrieval and the Clara. So yeah, overall, I think this deck will be. I'll have to test it more, but I feel like it does have some potential. just because the typings will make this deck like playable. At the very least, it will make it a playable deck that will be able to win some games. But will it be any better than like Tier B? Who knows? Will it be worse than Tier B? Will it be Tier A, Tier S? Who knows? We'll all have to wait till post rotation comes around in August, September time. But other than that, that's going to do it for the video, guys. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a like. If you guys want to see more content like this, post rotation, early set launch lists, stuff like that, don't forget to subscribe. That'll be it for the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.